These were the final moments ever captured of the 20-year-old Keely Bunker, smiling, dancing, laughing with her friends. Footage from the night before everything changed. Just hours after this was filmed, Keely's body was found floating face down in a shallow stream, her clothes soaked, her hair tangled, her necklace buried in mud. And the man who discovered her was the same man who killed her. This is the story of Keely Bunker, a young woman who trusted her best friend to walk her home safely, not knowing she was walking straight into her own murder. On the night of September 18, 2019, 20-year-old Keely was celebrating her best friend's birthday. The plan was simple: go to a concert in Birmingham, have fun, and return home before morning. With her was Wesley Street, a childhood friend she'd known for years, someone her family thought of as harmless, even protective. After the concert ended, Keely texted her sister to say she was safe. "I'm with Wes." That short message was the last thing anyone ever heard from her. By sunrise, she was missing. Her phone, dead. Her bed, untouched. Panic spread through the quiet town of Tamworth as friends and family began searching. Among them was Wesley himself, walking through the fields and parks pretending to help, pretending he didn't already know where she was. Hours later, the search ended in horror. In a local park just a few hundred yards from Keely's home, her body was discovered partially submerged in a stream. Her clothes were disheveled, her hair tangled, her body carefully covered with branches, as if someone had tried to hide what they'd done. And the person who found her was Wesley Street. He stood there, staring at the lifeless body of the girl he'd murdered, acting like he'd just stumbled upon the tragedy. But police officers who arrived sensed something off. The way he avoided eye contact, the way his voice trembled, and the faint scratches covering his arms. When questioned, Wesley claimed he'd left Keely safely at home. But CCTV footage told another story. Cameras captured them walking together long after he said they split. His phone data placed him exactly where her body was found. The evidence was closing in. Under pressure, Wesley began changing his story. First, he said she fell into the water by accident, then that they had consensual sex and she just stopped breathing. But the autopsy destroyed his lies. Keely had been strangled. Police reconstructed her final moments. After walking her home, Wesley attacked her, strangled her until she stopped breathing, and carried her body to the stream. He spent nearly an hour trying to hide her under leaves and branches, before returning home and pretending nothing had happened. The betrayal stunned the town. Everyone knew them as best friends. Two young people who grew up together, went to school together, and trusted each other completely. No one could imagine that the same man who smiled in photos beside her would one day take her life. When detectives confronted him with forensic evidence, he finally admitted being at the scene, but still refused to confess the truth. His lies were relentless, each one worse than the last. But the physical evidence told a story he couldn't erase. Wesley Street was arrested and charged with Keely's rape and murder. During trial, the prosecution described him as a predator hiding in plain sight, a manipulative liar who pretended to care about his victim even as he buried her. In court, he showed no remorse, no emotion, just a blank stare as every detail of his crime was revealed. How Keely had trusted him, how she had begged to be taken home safely, and how he'd betrayed that trust in the most horrific way possible. Keely's family sat in silence, listening to how her final moments were spent, struggling, gasping for air, realizing too late that the person beside her wasn't a friend at all. When the verdict came, the courtroom was still. Wesley Street was sentenced to life imprisonment, with a minimum of 30 years before parole. The judge called his actions pure evil, describing how he had feigned concern while knowing exactly what he had done. For Keely's father, the words that followed broke everyone in the room. He said, "She trusted him." That's what hurts the most. The case spread across the UK, not just for its brutality, but because it was a mirror held up to the hidden dangers of trust. Keely's death wasn't random, wasn't impulsive. It was a betrayal built on years of familiarity. And that's what makes it terrifying, because how many of us have someone we completely trust? Someone who could destroy everything in a single moment. In the end, Keely's story became a warning whispered across towns and timelines, reminding the world that sometimes the real monsters don't hide in shadows. They walk beside us, smile at us, promise to protect us, and then, when no one's watching, they destroy us. The news of Keely Bunker's death spread like wildfire. Tamworth, a quiet, ordinary town, was suddenly drowning in grief, disbelief, and anger. People gathered outside her family home, leaving flowers, photos, and candles. Her friends couldn't accept it. This wasn't supposed to happen to someone like Keely, someone so full of life, so careful, so loved. But as investigators dug deeper, they discovered the disturbing truth. Wesley Street wasn't the friend everyone thought he was. Beneath his calm, quiet exterior, there were signs of something much darker. He had a pattern. Small acts of control, inappropriate advances, lies that blurred the line between friendship and obsession. And yet no one saw it. No one imagined that his jealousy and frustration could twist into violence. But on that night, it did. Police reconstructed the final minutes of Keely's life. After leaving the concert, they walked together through the quiet streets. She was laughing, maybe a little tired, probably relieved to be almost home. He was smiling too. But behind that smile was a storm brewing. At some point, the conversation turned. Maybe he made a move, maybe she refused. Whatever happened, it triggered something inside him. The control he'd hidden for years finally erupted. He pushed her, then strangled her with his bare hands. No weapon, no plan, just rage and impulse. In less than a minute, her life was gone. And then, silence. That silence must have been deafening. The kind that only killers hear after realizing what they've done. For nearly an hour, he stayed there in the dark, hiding her body under branches, cleaning up traces of his crime, and crafting lies he would repeat for days. By morning, he was texting her family, joining search groups, pretending to care. At one point, he even hugged Keely's sister, saying, "We'll find her, don't worry." Those words, now burned into everyone's memory, became a symbol of how far deceit can go. When police seized his phone, the evidence became undeniable. His movements were tracked minute by minute, the GPS, the steps, the timestamps. Every detail betrayed him. The scratches on his arms matched Keely's DNA. His story crumbled. But even then, Wesley refused to confess. Instead, he kept inventing stories, each more twisted than the last. First, it was an accident. Then, it was mutual intimacy gone wrong. Later, he said she fell asleep and he didn't know what to do. But his lies collapsed one by one under the weight of evidence. Keely's family had to sit in court and listen to every gruesome detail. Her injuries, her final struggle, the way she was left in the water like a discarded secret. Each word was a knife, each truth another wound that would never heal. Her father described waking up every day, hoping it was all just a dream. Her mother couldn't even walk past the park where Keely was found. And her friends, those who'd been at the party that night, carried a lifelong guilt. They kept asking themselves, could we have stopped this? When the verdict finally came, the courtroom was still. Wesley Street, guilty of rape and murder, life imprisonment. But for many, justice didn't feel like closure. Because closure implies understanding, and no one could understand how someone could strangle their best friend, cover her body, then join the search the next morning as if nothing had happened. Experts later described Wesley as a narcissistic manipulator, someone who lived off the illusion of innocence. He wanted to be seen as the caring friend, the quiet protector. But when that illusion cracked, his true self surfaced, cold, calculating, remorseless. Even in prison, he showed no emotion, no apology, just silence. For Keely's family, every anniversary became a reminder, not just of her death, but of her trust. They kept her photos in their living room, her favorite songs playing in the background, her laughter echoing through memories. Her sister once said, "We grew up believing you're safe with your friends. Now, I don't know who to trust." That sentence captured the heartbreak of the entire case, because Keely's story wasn't just about murder. It was about betrayal disguised as friendship. Across social media, her case sparked a movement. Messages from women sharing how they too had ignored red flags, how they'd trusted the wrong people. The hashtag number sign for Keely became a quiet call for awareness, a reminder that sometimes danger doesn't come from strangers in the dark. It comes from familiar faces in daylight. But even as time passed, some details never left people's minds. The scratches, the timeline gaps, the eerie calm in Wesley's face during his police interviews. If real-life murder mysteries fascinate you, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Mystery Note for more chilling true crime stories.